I'm Danielle, and welcome to This Enchanted House. Book review time. So today, since I'm dressed up witchy anyway, I thought today would be a good day to review the Witch-Crafting Handbook by Helena Garcia. So if you don't know, Helena was a contestant on the Great British Bake Off on Series 10. Which kind of was where she launched to fame, and she was kind of known for doing very spooky and very different and gothic-y kind of bakes. She got on famously with the host Noel because they're both kind of dark and that strange and unusual kind of vibe going. She didn't win, but she definitely made a mark, and people really liked her, and she's kind of has spun that into, like a lot of previous contestants, a sort of lifestyle brand. But hers is that sort of special, spooky, witchy, kind of cottagey aesthetic that she, used in her bakes throughout the show. So, I was obviously a huge fan. She has one previous book, The Wicked Baker, which I do have, and I really did enjoy. So when she announced this book, I was really excited and pre-ordered it, and I'm excited to get it. And so let's talk about it. What is witchcrafting, and what is she trying to do here? She sums up really nicely in the introduction to this book. I use the term witchcrafting to refer to the art of making your own spooky fashion accessories, home decorations, potions, and concoctions. Connecting history and folklore to the items we craft gives them deeper meaning. When possible, introducing a touch of nature also adds significance. That really resonates with me. I think that's kind of how I try to, when I talk about having an enchanted house and an enchanted life, that's what I'm trying to accomplish here, is to find ways to incorporate things that are different and unusual, but very you, that speak to you, into your life. So this book really resonates with me, and I follow her on Instagram and all the other stuff too. So I am a fan. I always try to be upfront with that if I'm reviewing a book and I am a fan of the person, because it does introduce a certain amount of bias. But so the book starts with an introduction, and she has all these sort of household tidbits and folklore tidbits, and it's kind of interesting and fun. She talks about witch balls, which were one of my favorite underutilized witchcraft items, and I really want to do a video about them myself someday here, so look for that, I guess. But there's just some interesting tidbits. There's a weird sort of Native American legend thrown in there about, becoming a bird, different types of birds. It seems a little odd and maybe a tad culturally appropriative. I don't know. She's just throwing out random folklore and facts, and most of it's, witchcraft centered and British centered. So I don't know. But maybe it's something that just kind of spoke to her. So one of my favorite things about this book is the artwork and illustration by Andrea Kett. It's got this kind of combination of witchy and mid-century, and it's very fun and playful, so you'll hopefully kind of throw some of it up here as we go along. Also, the photography by Patricia Niven is beautiful and gorgeous and really captures some of the projects really well, and it really helps, to see them and, want to try them. So the first section is the witch's wardrobe, which is all about clothing and accessories and sort of crafting and making your own little bits here to wear. I'll say a lot of it reminds me of sort of wearable art. It's mostly concentrated on accessories. There's not really clothing. There's one kind of sewing thing, which is this witch's chef's hat, which is chef's kiss. It's something she actually had commissioned and then has talked to the original maker to share it with her book. And then the other thing is she has the plans for a mushroom hat. Now hers is for a child, but as of recording this, and I know trends come and go, but there's this huge trend for these red cap mushroom hats, and she's got a pattern in here for one. It's actually looks fairly simple and straightforward, and it's really cute. And obviously, even though the dimensions she gives her for a child, you could obviously size it up for an adult one. And I'm tempted to try it. So the majority of the projects seem around kind of embellishing things you already have, with beading or decoration, and so there's things with these really cute stockings or these really lovely gloves, and it's really beautiful, and I think it's a really great place to start. Just kind of take things that are kind of very ordinary and zhuzh them up, and so there's all the projects seem really straightforward. The directions are really clear. I haven't had a chance to really try anything yet because it's just got the book, but there's nothing that seems intimidating or it's well, I'm confused at how you do this now. Sometimes when you get into a project, you're halfway through and you realize the instructions have left out something that maybe was important. But as an experienced person who's done crafts and cooking, her instructions seem pretty thorough, pretty, precise in terms of what to do next and stuff. So, all right, the second section is also a crafting section, but we go from wardrobe to home accessories. I will say in the wardrobe was the crafts make some really neat kind of metallic brooms, but I think those make great decorations for around your house too. So there's some back and forth, and she probably had, I don't know, I'm trying to get in someone's head here, but I would assume I'd have a hard time placing that too. So, so if you ever get a chance to go look online and how she decorates her house, and if you follow her on Instagram, I love her style, and I love her home decoration style in particular. It's very similar to mine. So the next section, of course, is home crafting, and there's some ideas, little projects that you can kind of start going in those kind of directions. She does have doing an altar, which really isn't a craft so much as an experience. And one of the things I do love about this book is it's mostly kind of DIY and, all that. But there are some of the more spiritual, more folklorish elements of witchcraft, and so she talks a little bit about altars, but she doesn't really, there are whole books written on how to set up a household altar. It's something that every witch kind of has their own philosophies around and practices, but so she gives you sort of a place to start and some starting hints. She does talk about smudging the altar to cleanse it instead of cleansing or purifying it with smoke. Smudging is, a culturally appropriative term taken from Native American practices. So, we try to use smoke cleansing now instead of, it's because it's the same kind of general idea, but there's very specific things involved with smudging as opposed to just doing the smoke cleansing. So, but it just might, but otherwise it's kind of a nice little introduction. The two projects I really liked were, first of all, there's this really cute little cat wall plaque, and you think, when I first thought, it's just going to be like a mold or something. No, she sculpted it, and she talks about how, it can seem intimidating to sculpt something, but, you just kind of start playing around with the clay, and you get to something you like, and that's how I've generally found things. People are intimidated, because they're worried, I think, about getting it perfect, and it's not about getting it perfect, it's about getting it to something you like, which sounds like it should be the same thing, but isn't always, so. The other project I really liked is the Ouija board serving tray. Of course, you guys know I kind of bought one last year, but she has a downloadable graphic that has a link in the book where you can download the graphic and print it out and put it on a tray. And I just generally like the design of it, so I think it looks very elegant, and it has a very different feel to mine. So the next section is the Witch's Apothecary, which is sort of the potions and lotions sections, sort of the beauty treatments and the homemade bath and beauty products. So it's kind of in between the crafting section and the cooking section that's going to come to follow. The stuff isn't obvious. Well, some of it actually is edible, I think, too. But this is more focused on beauty and natural beauty, and, overall it's really good. She actually does something I really do enjoy with a lot of things. She uses more tinctures and infusions rather than essential oils, which seems to be the go-to for so many of these type of books lately, is just use essential oils. Well, essential oils are nice, but they're really strong, and you want to use them in moderation. For the chapters where she is using essential oils, at first I was like, some of these seem really concentrated, but then I was, you're making up something, and then if you read further instructions, it's when you use this, you're going to dilute a teaspoon of this into a cup of that, and it's so you're going to dilute it further. This is just sort of the concentrated version, because when you dilute it in the water, it's not going to have a very long life after that. So, for the most part, I will get to the one where I kind of There was a couple recipes I really was looking forward to trying. One is a chocolate face mask, and it's chocolate and yogurt and clay. I'm that sounds it sounds like it'd be really not fun to work with, but that afterwards you'd have a really great effect. The other thing I really was interested in was the Ma Scare remover, which is a makeup remover. It's a really simple recipe that uses castor oil, witch hazel, and olive oil. And it's like, yeah, I guess I gave it away, but the proportions are in the book, so you have to get the book to find out the proportions. Which are all like really, in themselves, can be used in those ways. As she doesn't mention it, but I've also heard that castor oil is really good for your eyelashes anyway. I don't know about that. I mean, I always caution about things putting around your eyes, but there's nothing there that's like, I mean, honestly, getting anything in your eye is bad, but there's nothing in there that's going to like, that is known bad for your eye, I guess is the best way you could put it. The other one is a wonderful vintage recipe for a mustard bath. And I know it sounds weird, but mustard was kind of a cure-all in Victorian times, and so she has a recipe for that, and I'm kind of curious to try that one too. So it's a really, once again, it's a really nice little simple recipe. I'm not going to give you the ingredients here because I already did that once. There's some other great recipes that are interesting, like the solid perfume one actually is just used as a great way to take a perfume you have and transform it into something that you can take with you, not have to worry about the bottle breaking and spilling and having like scent to rescent yourself, and it's like a really great idea. She also, the birthstone lip gloss is one of those recipes where you're putting a stone in something to magically charge it, which, you know, if you're not a witch, you can kind of probably, you skip it, but she also talks about, you know, making a color and putting glitter and stuff in it, and so it gives you kind of the energy, and so I like that kind of idea at least. So there were some recipes that kind of were like, not sure about that. The first is her basically toothpaste, her homemade toothpaste, which uses activated charcoal. And if you've watched any of my videos, you know, activated charcoal is one of those ingredients I really recommend you avoid if you have any kind of medication or anything, because activated charcoal, its main purpose is to, if you swallow poison, to get the poison out of your system. Unfortunately, it kind of tends to take everything out. So if you take medications, it can absorb those medications before your body does, which is obviously not ideal if you need those medications to help you live. So I'm always really like, that always pings me as like, oh, please don't use activated charcoal. There's only one beauty recipe, and it's for toothpaste, and it's like, well, I can kind of see it there. It is an abrasive, and it is, you know, and I have seen, and I don't know, it's not you're swallowing it mostly, but you might swallow some, I don't know. It is your mileage may vary. If you are someone who doesn't have to worry about that, activated charcoal isn't going to hurt you. I just, you know, just keep that in mind, I guess. The other two recipes where I did wonder about the concentration of the essential oils used. One was the foot spray she has, and the other is the candles. It just seems like a lot of essential oil. So essential oil sprays are a thing, and I've used them myself, where you're putting in the oil with a liquid and then usually witch hazel or something to help break up the oil enough that when you spray it, it diffuses it, so you're not getting a huge concentration of it. It just seems still like a lot of oil compared to the other liquids. That might just be me and my inability to visualize volume. So, and likewise, the candles, it seemed like a real, like, I love the idea of doing apothecary candles, and she also, once again, has these really great labels you can download to dress them up that are really lovely. I will say this, maybe if you are a person who doesn't like a heavy scented candle, like you like a lighter scent, you can always cut back on the amount of essential oils added. So the next section is the cauldron, which is, of course, the cooking section. You know, as a baker and where she first made her name, we have one of those. There's some really great, interesting recipes. I love these frog breads that look like toads, and the way it's like, I really want to try making them so they make them look like that, because they look like they'd be so neat just sitting out on the table. She talks about this pasta, I'm going to hopefully say a sambaroni, that looks like a little witch's hat. I didn't know this was a thing, and she found out about it and really want to try this recipe too. My only concern is, once again, we have activated charcoal, and this time she's using it to make pasta black. There are lots of other great options for making pasta black, including food coloring or squid ink, which is what they use in Japan. So, once again, ding points for activated charcoal. Please, please, people, stop using activated charcoal. There are so many other ways to make things black. And it's not any activated charcoal is not any healthier. So, but otherwise, I kind of want to try to make the pasta because it looks neat and her recipe sounds really good. So there are a lot of savory pastry dishes in this book, which are some of my favorite, kind of just general. I love the combination of pastry. I love the combination of a pastry with a savory filling. The first one is actually a piranha pie, which is a fish pie, which, yeah, I'm not a fish person, but it looks neat. There's a great Wheel of the Year pie. She plays around with the medieval idea that they used to call these caskets. And there's a coffin mince pie. And there's these cute little saucer hand pies that look really good too. So I'm excited to try some of those. There's also just some really interesting recipes that look really great. Look like really interesting flavor combinations. There's a green man cake that uses lemon and nettle. There's a s'more rat tart, which just sounds delicious. Like her recipe, like the way she has it decorated would be great for Halloween. But if you just wanted to make it plain for a not Halloween or Christmassy it up, or you can put Santa hats on the rats too, I guess. I do. But yeah. There's the other one is the chocolate peanut butter flies, which I love the pun because butterflies implies like pretty, but no, they're flies, like, but they're made out of chocolate and peanut butter, and they look really good, and they're like look like a fun, really candy type recipe to try. There's also something called a Devonshire split, which is based off, I guess, a British recipe called a Devonshire split, which once again, I think one of the great things is like she takes these recipes that you could do the plain version if you don't want the Halloween-y version, but the Halloween spooky versions are so cute. And she has some very cute spooky Christmas recipes too. So that brings us to this last chapter, which honestly for me was kind of the weakest chapter, but that might be once again personal. This is the Tipsy Witch, which is the drinks. And not so much here, but if you follow me on the other social medias on Instagram, my husband is into craft cocktails, so I get to try we try all sorts of really neat recipes in craft cocktails, and I post the results over there usually. But there's so I have a really high bar when it comes to cocktails, and I'm not gonna say this is a bad chapter. It just feels the weakest to me, and I always feel like it feels tacked on at the end to me. But maybe that's just me, because it feels like I said, I have such a high bar for what cocktails and drinks are supposed to be. And I'm going to say, there's nothing bad here. Everything looks really good. And there's also some, non-alcoholic refreshments too that, But that said, there were some really great highlights. The first drink that looks interesting to me is the Giggle Water, which is basically a play on a French 75, which is a combination of gin and champagne that you top off of champagne, and that's usually gin and simple syrup champagne. In this one, she is using lemon candies. She makes a syrup from them and then using lemon candies to act as the sweet component. So it sounds like a nice twist on it. And she has a recipe for lavender lemonade, and it's actual lemonade. In case you didn't know, in the U.S., lemonade is a concoction made with the juice of lemons and sugar, and that's usually about it, whereas apparently everywhere else in the world, lemonade is associated with a carbonated drinks like Sprite and 7-Up, and those aren't lemonade in the U.S. Lemonade is like lemon juice, water, and sugar. It's and hers is a lavender lemonade, which adds a lavender component. It looks really yummy. I don't think I've ever had lavender lemonade. I've had, in the U.S. we flavor lemonade, so you have like strawberry lemonade, raspberry lemonade, blueberry lemonade. Usually it's kind of lavender sounds like a really good combination. I know lavender is an acquired taste for some people. Like people associate it with soap a lot, so it tastes like soap to them. But definitely something to try when it gets warmer out. We are now definitely into autumn, and I don't think it's something I'm gonna make anytime soon. But maybe I can kind of keep it in the back of my mind for like one of our picnics or something over the summer. I was really also excited to see the bubble tea. My family, we are really big bubble tea drinkers, and we like to try it wherever we go and try all the different variations. But we all kind of really like the classic, bubble milk tea with the tapioca bubble pearls. And she's got a recipe how to do that here, and I'm tempted to try it. She uses a matcha tea. I'm not a big matcha fan, but my daughter is, so we could try that. Or I might try it with like a traditional milk tea. We'll have to see. But there's instructions on how to make them, so I was excited for that. So I love a good milkshake. and she has a recipe called the Black Cat Milkshake, which in theory I love. It looks really good, looks really yummy, very chocolatey. But activated charcoal again. Ugh. Please, please, please stop using activated charcoal. Like, I understand you want to make things black, but there's other alternatives that are actually healthier. I know activated charcoal's got this idea that, oh, it removes toxins. Yes, but it removes everything else too, including people's medications, and it actually doesn't let your body absorb the things it needs to absorb. So once again, if you're going to do this recipe, just look for one of the alternatives, black food coloring, or if you can get your hands on it, squid ink. And that is the Witch-Crafting Handbook by Helena Garcia. I will say it's not a must-have. Must-have sort of my top tier. I will say this is a really good book. If you go in kind of knowing the things I've mentioned, the things I find a little problematic, they're small, but I would highly recommend this book. The instructions are great. Her the ideas are amazing and fun. The instructions are very clear. There's a lot here to explore. It's if you want it for just Halloween, or if you want it for all year, if you want to make your life witchy or enchanted, I definitely recommend it then. So I hope this review was helpful. I'd love to hear if you've got the book, what you thought of it down below. If you have any questions or concerns for me concerning the book or what's in it, I'd be happy to answer what from my perspective, obviously. I recommend you check her out on Instagram. Even if you don't get the book, she has a really, if this channel is your thing, then her Instagram is definitely your thing too. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you think? Do you have any books you want me to review? I'm, always open to looking for things and searching for, new books on decorating and lifestyle. If you like this video and it was useful, please give it a like. Please check out some of my other videos. If you like what you see here, you can subscribe to catch up with the latest and the greatest. I would love to connect with you guys on social media. There are links to my Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter below. I'll see you guys next time, and I hope you have an enchanted day. Bye!